You are not emotionless. You are not a boring singer. You are just disconnected. That was me a few years ago. I thought I need to sound more powerful or maybe copy a different singer's style who were louder and grittier and, a bit more expressive. But the truth was, I wasn't feeling what I was singing. Once I understood the dynamics and emotional storytelling, my entire voice changed. Not technically, but energetically. People started to feel my singing, and even I felt more emotional and connected to my songs. So, if you've ever been told your singing sounds robotic or emotionless, this episode is for you guys. Hey friends, welcome back to Music Mindset Monday. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Vishmi. I'm a vocal coach and a singer based in Melbourne. Today we are talking about something that can completely transform your singing: emotional expression. Not the kind that looks dramatic on stage, but the kind that actually makes people pause and listen. In this episode, I'll show you how to sing with emotions by controlling three things: the texture of your voice, the dynamics, and the connection to the story. Let's start with texture. Think of your voice like a fabric. Sometimes it's silky and smooth, sometimes it's soft and fragile, sometimes it's rough and raw. That's texture. It's what gives your voice a character. Let me give you some examples. I'm going to include 3 songs for the texture example. Let's first start with Billie Eilish. This line from When the Party's Over is a perfect example of a fragile breath, heavy tone. She's not pushing the sound, she's almost like whispering it. There's this airy, delicate texture that makes it feels like she's right beside you telling you a secret. Let's have a listen to it. Notice how the air carries the emotion. It feels vulnerable, even a little broken. That's the power of using a breathy texture when you're singing. Breathiness can work in all ranges, but it's very common in the middle to high register. If you don't know how to make a breathy sound, it's very easy to do. I want you to get your hand in front of you like this, and then just do like, you know how you fog a mirror by going like, I want you to try that. Good. You feel the nice breath air coming out of your mouth. Now we're going to just use the same technique with a note or even a short melody. Let's do a short melody. Good. You feel that nice breathiness. So that's how you add the emotions such as, heartbreak, pain, and loneliness to a song. I use a lot of breathiness when I have these type of emotions in my songs. And you have to be careful. Don't be too breathy, then you're going to sound very dull. So you need to be careful not to use breath throughout the whole thing. It's just where you want to emphasize. Next, we're going to look at Adele. Her tone is clean and strong, but then underneath there's this like crying quality that makes it almost like, every word feels painful. I want to try Never Mind, I'll Find Someone Like You, just that bit. Let's actually first listen to it. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. It's very clean. There's no breath. You hear that nice thick sound of her throughout those chorus line. I want you to try. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. You're controlling the volume, but you're keeping your tone clean. No breath, like no. Never mind, I'll find. No. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. It's very clean. And then there's this crying kind of whining sound to it as well. I want to again emphasize there are so many textures. These are 3 main textures that I just picked to give you a bit of an example. Okay, the final example I have today is going to be the gritty, the raw kind of texture. A good example is Lady Gaga, and she sings the Shallow in a very bold, chesty, and raw type of a texture. You can feel the emotions through the slight grit in her sound. Let's have a quick listen to it. The rasp isn't about shouting, it's about releasing. It shows you an energy shift. With this type of a vocal texture. So these three singers, Billie, Adele, and Lady Gaga, all express emotions differently in their songs. The magic isn't copying their tone, it's noticing how the texture changes the feeling. You need to, eventually start applying these. And then it opens up the storytelling for you instantly. Now, here's the thing. In any given song, you just don't see one vocal texture. It's a mixture of, all these textures. So the real emotional storytelling means you switching in between these textures depending on the emotion, the moment of that song. You might start a verse like soft and breathy, and then you go into like a first chorus a bit more open and clean and powerful, and maybe the final chorus you're going to be ending with raw, gritty, more chesty sound to show the emotions. Okay, the second thing is dynamics. It shows how our emotions go up and down in a song. I always call this the dynamic curve in the song. So think of dynamic as an emotional movement. Your voice isn't meant to stay still. It needs to, go up and down, breathe, and it swells, it softens, just like wave coming to the shore and going back when you go to the beach. So when everything you sing stays at the same volume, that kind of gives the listeners a little bit of, like boring feeling, the dullness. It is a bit flat. There's no rise and fall. So that's what you need to create with dynamics. Here's a quick example that you can try out today with me. Let's take the song Someone Like You by Adele. I want you to try just one line of this song. We're not going to do the whole song since, we are a little bit in a time crunch. The song itself breathes dynamically. If you listen, it starts soft and then it almost, whispering the words and then gradually build into a powerful emotional release in the chorus. So we're just going to explore that in just one line. We're going to go into Never Mind, I'll Find Someone Like You. We're going to take that line and I want you to try to sing it first softly and then like the volume is soft and then you're going to build up the volume, the power onto Someone Like You, that 3 words. And notice again, when I'm saying soft, I'm referring to the volume at this stage, but you need to also think about the vocal texture as well. Vocal texture and dynamic in a song goes hand in hand. Let's try this out so you'll understand it a bit more clearly. So I'm going to do the exact line. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. So I start a bit more like, never mind, I'll find. And then I brought my volume up and then I went into that nice clean tone, clean texture, right? And to the power onto the ending, I went onto the full power to the full volume. So let's try one more time. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. Yeah, you can also introduce a bit of grit towards the end as well. So I'm basically showcasing the vocal texture and dynamics in here. When you want some intimacy, I want you to move a bit closer to the mic and you're going to be using a bit of like that breathy texture and soft volume. You can still stay in a clean texture as well, depending on the mood. For example, if we think about a singer like Billie Eilish, she would definitely go into the breathy texture. But if we think about someone who's like Lady Gaga or even Beyonce, like, someone who has a little bit of a clean vocal timbre, they will most probably go into like a clean texture, but then a softer volume. When you want space and power, I want you to pull back and I want you to be louder. And also, again, you can play with the texture, which is the clean or grittier, depending on where you are in your song. Make sure you're painting a nice emotional landscape. Remember the dynamic curve that I just mentioned earlier? You need to plan this journey for your audience, for yourself also. I always think every song has a different dynamic curve and it sometimes starts soft and go like, like a up and down movement and end with like a really huge power ending, or it can be starting with a medium volume, going up in the middle chorus and then down back to a soft ending at the song ending. Okay, the final part of this video, the connection, becoming the song. I think this is the most important piece when it comes to emotion, all right? So this is where the technique meets the truth. That's what I feel like. Because no matter how good your tone or range is, if you're not feeling it, your audience won't either. Trust me. So there are a few questions that I want you to ask. Here are a few questions that I want you to ask from yourself. I want you to close your eyes and ask yourself, who am I singing as? When you're singing a song, for example, let's say we are singing Someone Like You, since we've been talking about the song. I want you to ask yourself, who am I singing as? And then what's happening in this story? Where are you in this storyline? Imagine the timeline. And then what emotion do I want to transmit? What emotion do I want to convey to the people? I want you to answer these questions before you start singing. Like, picture this, just imagine the story. Don't just sing. It's about emotions, right? So we need to make sure that we are aligned with it. These exercises reminds me like acting because when an actor or an actress get a role for a movie, they have to go into that person's character. They're going to be imitating every little movement, body language, everything has to align to that character. So you have to do like very similar thing. So I want you to imagine you are this character, and I want you to think, what will they do? The body movements, everything. Like, I want you to be very detailed about this. Let's say that you're singing a song about like, I don't need you anymore type of a song. All right. So I want you to imagine you're saying that to someone. And I also want you to feel in your body how your chest tightened, how your breath changes, how your tone gets a little sharper. I want you to imagine that. I want you to feel that as well. That's the real emotional connection. I'll give you a simple example. I was teaching this song by Anna Marie called Friends. So she was like, going like, you say you love me, I'm only crazy, we're nothing more than friends. You're not my lover. She was doing this, like, melody is correct, timing was correct, everything was good. But then I stopped her and then I asked her, like, think about the person, like, you have to have that attitude, right? You say you love me, I say you're crazy, we're nothing more than friends. You're not my lover, more like a brother. I know you since we were like 10, right? So what I ask her to do is just exactly that. I ask her to put the attitude into it, like become the person. So I'll give you an example. You say you love me, I say you're crazy, we're nothing more than friends. You're not my lover, more like a brother. I know you since we're like 10. Yeah. So I also asked her to do the word 10 a bit out of the timing to show that attitude. So I want you to own the song, not just sing. That's what I told her. And instantly she started doing that. Everything came together like magic. I want you to make sure that you know the attitude of the person who's singing this. If it's sad, then obviously you'll have to think about that. If it's, like about revenge, or if it's something, like you're dissing someone, I want you to actually be that person. So, as closing thoughts, remember, emotion is not something that you add to your voice. It's something that you unlock within. If you control your texture, that's your color. And if you control your dynamics, if you shape your dynamics, that adds the movement to the song. And finally, if you embody the story, that's your truth. It becomes like your song, your situation. So when you bring those together, people won't just hear a song. They'll feel you. They'll hear your story. They'll feel all the emotions. If this episode resonated with you, make sure to comment down in the comment section and tell me what song you're trying to connect with emotionally. Maybe I might break it down in a future video. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And until next time, you have a great week.